when trying a new fetish went terribly wrong. It was 2 a.m., and my girlfriend was over, even though she wasn't supposed to be in my room after 11 p.m. We were getting into some pretty devious stuff. Basically, she wanted me to tie her up, write on her, and basically just treat her like an intimacy doll. That annoyed me. She wanted me to constantly threaten her during this role-playing session too. She really got off on this type of stuff. So, I moved some ceiling tiles and tied her hands above her head. Her bum was about a foot off the bed, and she had her arms straight up in the air. I put a gag in her mouth and then wrote "Dead Beach" on her chest and "Beach" on her back with green permanent marker. I tied up her huge breasts and put clothespins on her tips. I stuck a vibrating egg in her and set it on a very slow pulse. Then, I put a gag on her and told her to wait till I got back. I went to the basement to get ice because she wanted a cube shoved up her bum. Halfway back, the fire alarm goes off, worst possible timing. I run back to my room, and the RA is about to unlock my door to do a bed check. I tell the RA that I'm already out, but I forgot to grab something. He tells me I can't go back into my room because of the fire alarm. Now, we all know there's no fire, it's just some drunkard who pulled the alarm. So, I go outside while my girlfriend is tied up in my room with a vibrating egg in her snatch. We're all waiting outside for about 15 minutes, even though we're usually back inside within 5 minutes. Then, the fire department shows up. Apparently, it wasn't some drunk who pulled the fire alarm, it was some drunk who set the bathroom garbage can on fire on the 4th floor. I grabbed the hall coordinator and told her that my girlfriend was still inside. She asked why I didn't say anything. I replied because we've had 500 fire alarms, and none of them were ever real. Additionally, I said my girlfriend didn't get out because she was asleep and sleeps with earplugs because the slightest noises wake her up. I was hoping I'd be able to go get her alone. Yeah, that didn't happen. The hall coordinator, a security guard, 2 firemen, and one of the RAs escort me to my room. The hall coordinator puts her key in, and I say, all these people might freak her out, I'll go get her. The fireman says, we don't have time for this, get her out now. He grabs the knob and flings the door open. It was a sight I will never forget. I doubt anyone else will either. Everyone looked in and were just shocked. There, hanging from the girders, is my unclothed girlfriend with tears running down her face. She's squirming as hard as she can and screaming her muffled yells through the gag. Her milk cannons are tied up, and they've turned purple. I try to run in, but one fireman tackles me. He and the security guard then throw handcuffs on me. The other fireman goes in and pulls off the gag. My girlfriend screams, "Get this thing out of me!" The hall coordinator is asking what the hell she's talking about. The hall coordinator can't find any cord because, with all the squirming, my girlfriend had sucked it up into her. Instead of cutting her down, they're trying to figure out how to fish out this toy. It was probably like 5 seconds, but it felt like an hour. I screamed, "Cut her down!" The fireman cuts her down, and my girlfriend jams her fingers up herself and produces a small egg. They quickly untie her and pull off the clothespins. As the nylon ropes and clothespins come off, my girlfriend lets out a scream as the blood rushes back in and back out. Two cops have joined us. A paramedic has joined us, and 4 more firemen are there. With only 1 or 2 exceptions, everyone looks like they just saw a train wreck. While they're dragging me away in handcuffs, my girlfriend is screaming, "No, it's not his fault. I'm not fighting." But she's wrestling the paramedic and the firemen who are helping her down the hall. We get to the front doors, and people are starting to return to their rooms. Many are just stopping and watching us. Finally, my girlfriend screams, "It was just kinky intimacy. I wanted it. I swear, I told him to call me a beach." Well, this was a showstopper. Everyone, and I mean everyone, goes dead silent. Then, a second later, there's an eruption of laughter. They dragged me and my girlfriend into the hall coordinator's apartment. Now, it's just me, my girlfriend, the hall coordinator, the RA, 2 cops, and the security guard. 1 cop and the security guard take me into the bedroom and ask me all sorts of questions. This is quite possibly one of the most humbling experiences of my life, having to describe in detail the perverse things I was doing to her and why. After about an hour, they let us go and realized it was just some very kinky intimacy. The next day, I got written up for violating an invitation, opposite gender in your room after hours, alcohol possession, failure to clear a room during an emergency, and disrespect towards a fellow student. My girlfriend didn't get written up for anything, but she got warnings for everything except disrespect. I felt horrible about this, but now that we're not together, I think it's hilarious. I only wish it could have been caught on tape. As I looked back on that night, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Who gets caught by the fire department and police while trying to spice up their love life? Me, that's who. My girlfriend and I didn't last much longer after that incident. We tried to brush it off as a funny story to tell later, but the embarrassment and humiliation had already set in. We went our separate ways, but I'll never forget the night that kinky intimacy went terribly wrong. Years later, I'd find myself telling the story to friends and acquaintances, and it never failed to get a laugh. It was a reminder that even in the most awkward moments, there's always room for humor and humility. And as for my ex-girlfriend, I heard she went on to write a book about her experiences with kinky intimacy. I'm not sure if she included our infamous night in the book, but I hope she did. It's a story worth telling, and I'm just glad I got to be a part of it.